Personal protective equipment, known as PPE, must be worn by everyone on all Shimmick job sites. PPE must be matched to the work task and the hazards. Face shields must be worn whenever there is exposure to flying particles and materials that can injure your face and get behind your safety glasses. On every job site and for all work tasks, approved safety glasses must be worn. There are no exceptions. You are responsible to protect your eyes while on the job. Wear approved safety glasses with side shields and the ANSI Z87 rating on the frames. Hard hats must also be worn at all times and on every job site. Inspect your hard hat to ensure the suspension straps are free of rips and tears and the shell has no cracks, holes, or other defects. Wear your hard hat correctly with a suspension adjustment to the rear. A hard hat will protect your head from serious injury. Always wear the proper footwear, preferably safety-toed boots with substantial soles. Keep your boots laced up and tied. Impermeable boots are required when you are exposed to concrete and similar materials. Tape the top of the boots to your pants to prevent concrete from getting inside your boots. Steel toes and metatarsal guards are required to protect the tops of your feet from impacts and crushing. Work tasks such as compacting and jackhammering require metatarsal protection. Shirts with sleeves and long pants are required on every job site. Wear long sleeve shirts as necessary to protect your arms. Disposable coveralls and protective clothing must be worn if you are exposed to any substances or materials that can cause skin irritations. Chaps must be worn whenever operating a chainsaw. Chaps will protect your legs from serious deep cuts possible from contact with the chainsaw blade. A bright colored orange or yellow shirt or a high visibility vest must be worn while on the job site. Vests will make you more visible to equipment operators and drivers, reducing the chances of being accidentally hit or run over. To protect your hands, wear the correct gloves, matched to the work task and hazard. The most common hazards you will be exposed to include chemicals and epoxies, burns, wood splinters, and cuts. Gloves are also worn to give you a better grip when handling tools and materials. Always wear gloves matched to the hazard. Approved hearing protection must be worn when exposed to high noise levels. Work activities such as impacting produce noise levels high enough to cause hearing loss. Wear hearing protection for all high noise work. Whenever there is an exposure to harmful dusts, fumes, vapors, or gases, you must wear an approved respirator. Approved respirators must be worn when working in the presence of airborne contaminants, such as lead paint and silica dust from concrete.
Okay,
before using a respirator, you will need training and a current medical evaluation for the respirator type and the work you will be doing. Place the respirator to your face and adjust the upper and lower straps. A fit test is required to ensure the respirator creates a good seal to your face. If it does not seal, you will not be protected.
Your respirator is called doffing.
Respirator filters must be matched to the hazardous substances to which you will be exposed. Filters must be securely attached to the respirator and replaced as necessary. Conditions on the job site change constantly. Stay alert. A tripping hazard on a stairway is especially dangerous. If you find a cord or hose strung across a walkway or stairs, take action. Remove the hazard and route cords and hoses out of the walkway. Don't let a hazard go uncorrected. A safe job site is everyone's responsibility. Your actions will keep your coworkers safe and prevent injuries. 100% fall protection is required on every Shimmick job site. If you are exposed to a potential fall distance of 6 feet or more, you must use fall protection. Fall protection is a zero-tolerance rule. Failure to comply will mean loss of your job. Fall protection anchor points must support a minimum of 5,000 pounds per person attached. All straps and components must be rated and be designed for fall protection. When picking an anchorage, make sure it is capable of holding at least 5,000 pounds. Hooks and carabiners must open and close freely and be rated and stamped. Retractable lanyards must have current inspection and rating information. Select anchor points that will prevent a fall and limit your fall distance. Always consider the total fall distance. Connect to a solid anchor point behind you or above your harness D-ring to ensure you will not hit the surface below. Connect the snap hook so that it is fully engaged and the keeper is never load-bearing. Keep your lanyards in good condition. They will save your life in a fall. When using a retractable lanyard, never connect the two snap hooks together. Never attach a shock-absorbing lanyard to a retractable lifeline.
Come on down.
The retractable lifeline snap hook must be connected directly to your rear harness D-ring or an approved extension strap. A retractable lanyard or rope grab is required at all times when climbing or working on struts or whalers. A half-hooked lanyard connection is never allowed. The lanyard hook must be able to engage the anchor and the keeper must fully close. Tow boards must be installed on all walkways 10 feet or more in height. Tow boards protect your coworkers below from falling objects. Pick up or move any objects or tools that could fall past the tow board. Guardrails must be in place on all open ends of platforms greater than 6 feet or more in height. Rails must be secured at both ends and strong enough to support a 200-pound force. The top rail must be 42 to 45 inches above the work surface. A mid-rail is required halfway between the top rail and the work surface. If tow boards are not used, the area below must be marked to keep the area clear. Scaffolds used on shimmick job sites must be built correctly and be inspected frequently by an OSHA-competent person. A tag on the scaffold will indicate the condition of the scaffold and contain other instructions and warnings. Scaffold must be stable with all cross bracing, handrails, decking, and pins installed prior to use. Scaffolds must have a solid foundation with base plates. Screw jacks must be snug. Mud sills under the base plates add stability on soft and uneven surfaces. When a freestanding scaffold is taller than 3 times the smallest base dimension, it must be secured from tip-over with tiebacks. Tiebacks must be strong enough to resist all potential forces and be installed according to the design of the scaffold and the intended use. Scaffold uprights must be plumb. Climb scaffolds using the approved access ladders. Keep access gates and hatches closed. All cross bracing must be securely attached to the frame. Platforms must be fully decked with approved decking materials capable of supporting all intended loads and secured from movement. Toe boards are required, especially when work will be performed above your coworkers. Stay alert to any conditions that could make the scaffold unsafe for you or your coworkers. Close all access gates and hatches. Components such as tiebacks and end rails may become loose during daily use. Check them frequently. All ends of the scaffold must have guardrails and midrails. The guardrails must be securely attached and have enough strength and be at the correct height to prevent falls. It is your responsibility to work safely on all scaffolding types and report any missing components and potential hazards to your supervisor. "100% fall protection is required on all suspended scaffold platforms. Vertical lifelines or retractable lifelines must be independently secured to solid overhead anchorage points. Connect to vertical lifelines with an approved rope grab and a shock-absorbing lanyard 4 feet or less in length. As the scaffold moves up and down, adjust your rope grab so that it always is above your harness D-ring. Inspect the hoist cables and anchor points before using a suspended scaffold. On 4-cable suspended scaffolds, tying off to a horizontal line connected to the scaffold frame is permitted. The horizontal lines used for fall protection must be designed and approved by a registered professional engineer. Before using an extension ladder, ensure it is set up correctly. The top of the ladder must be secured to prevent movement and extend at least 3 feet above the landing area. Check the ladder for any defects before you begin climbing. A rope should be located next to every ladder to raise and lower tools and materials. Do not carry tools in your hands. Use a rope or line. Extension ladders must be set up at a 4-to-1 angle. The base of the ladder is 1 foot out from the vertical support for every 4 feet of height. Climb with 3 points of contact. Face the ladder and use both hands for climbing. The base of the ladder must be firmly supported and secured so it will not slip or move. Aerial devices must be inspected at the beginning of each shift. Using the ground controls on the lift allows you to test each control and operation without actually being elevated in the basket. Look and listen for any defects. Pay attention to the hydraulics. Look for leaks. Check the electrical lines, especially at the joints. Report any damage to your foreman. Each person working in knuckle and boom-supported platforms must wear a full-body harness and shock-absorbing lanyard attached to an approved anchor point. The control panel must be clearly labeled and legible with all control functions marked. Test the steering controls. Look at the surface for holes and other problems that could cause the lift to tip over. Ensure the area is clear above and below before extending, retracting, raising, or lowering the boom. You must be trained and authorized to operate any aerial device. If you exit the basket to perform work, you must connect to a retractable lifeline or another solid anchor point first before disconnecting your fall protection and stepping over the handrail. Remember, 100% fall protection is mandatory. Review. PPE must be worn by everyone on all Shimmick job sites. Face shields, safety glasses, hard hats, boots, hearing protection, shirts with sleeves, long pants, and high visibility clothing or vests are mandatory. Additional PPE may be required depending on the work task. Approved respirators must be worn when working in the presence of airborne contaminants. Training and fit testing is required. Never walk past a hazard. Route cords and hoses out of walkways. 100% fall protection is required at heights of 6 feet or more. Anchor points must support a minimum of 5,000 pounds per attached worker. All components must be rated and be designed for fall protection. Always connect to a solid anchor point that will prevent a fall and limit your fall distance. Snap hooks must be fully engaged. Connect retractable lines directly to your harness D-ring. Climb walls with 100% fall protection. Never half-hook your lanyard. Guardrails must be 42 to 45 inches above the work surface. Toe boards are required to prevent falling objects. Scaffolds must be inspected daily prior to use. All cross bracing, handrails, decking, and pins must be properly installed. Base plates and mud sills are required. Uprights must be plumbed. Tiebacks, approved planks, and proper ladders must be installed and used. 100% fall protection is required on all suspended scaffold platforms. Vertical lifelines or retractable lifelines must be independently secured to solid overhead anchorage points. Use rope grabs and approved lanyards. Extension ladders must be secured from movement. They must be installed at a 4-to-1 angle. Use hand lines to raise and lower tools. Aerial devices must be inspected at the beginning of each shift. Fall protection is required when operating all types of boom lifts. Always connect to a second anchor point before disconnecting from the aerial device. You will now be required to answer the following questions to confirm your understanding of Shimmick's safety requirements. Question 1. When exiting the elevated aerial device, A. Disconnect your fall protection from the basket first, then connect it to the outside anchor point. B. Connect to an outside anchor point first, then disconnect from the aerial device. C. Either method is acceptable. D. Both methods are wrong. Question 2. Work tasks such as compacting and jackhammering require A. Safety glasses and hard hat. B. Metatarsal guards. C. Hearing protection. D. All of the above. Question 3. 100% fall protection is required on every Shimmick job site at heights of A. 10 feet or more, B. 4 feet or more, C. 6 feet or more, D. 7.5 feet or more. Question 4. Before using an extension ladder, ensure that A. It extends at least 3 feet above the work surface. B. The top and the base are secured. C. The angle is 4-to-1. D. All of the above. Question 5. When working on a suspended scaffold, A. Connect your fall protection to the hoist line. B. Connect your fall protection to an independent or approved line. C. Connect your fall protection to the handrail. D. Fall protection is not required. Question 6. A properly built scaffold must A. Have tiebacks installed if the scaffold is 5 times the smallest base dimension. B. Be within 12 inches of plumb. C. Have 50% of all cross bracing installed. D. Be inspected monthly. This concludes Chapter 2 of your Shimmick Safety Orientation. Ask your supervisor if you have any questions or need additional information about our safety procedures.